Gonzalez, former Dodger Hall of Famer, Red Sox Hall of Famer, Padre Hall of Famer. He was released in June of 2018, did not play in 2019. But even though he didn't play in 2019, in the last 5 years, Adrian Gonzalez leads all players in times on base on opening day, 15. He went 9 for 14, a 6.43 average, 5 walks, 1 strikeout, 1 hit by pitch in the openers over the last 5 years, and he didn't even play in one last year. He was a 467, 579 on base percentage, 733 slug hitter in 13 opening days. Is there any way the Baltimore Orioles could bring Adrian Gonzalez in for opening day? I think he'd have a chance to put up some gaudy numbers for the Birds of Baltimore, don't you think? So now let's go around the league. Let's take a look at some players, how they're doing, and what's going on. How about Lourdes Gurriel? Now, there are some of you, Phil Chappell, who are big Lourdes Gurriel truthers, right? You know, you just love Gurriel and what he can do, and now he's the left fielder, and then last Wednesday he's swinging the bat, and he got a pain in his side, and he has been shut down, but he took batting practice yesterday ahead of the exhibition game against the Red Sox. They have a day off today. The plan is he's in the lineup tomorrow for the Blue Jays. That's right. He is a 26-year-older. He has all the talent in the world. I was looking at ESPN fantasy sites, and he's only owned in like 87% of fantasy leagues. Why is he not owned in every one? I mean, the Blue Jays, it all comes down to pitching as far as their team's success. We know that, but look, that lineup is incredible. With Lourdes Gurriel, with Bo Bichette. We know the legend of Vladdy Jr., Biggio, this team, Jansen. Jansen can hit. The Blue Jays are going to put up some runs. Now, will that starting staff be able to hold the opponents down? That's the question. But they've got some youngsters coming up. I talked about Pearson earlier, but it looks like that's distant future. They've got some good bullpen pieces. I think Shoemaker, when he has been healthy, he has been a strikeout mongrel. He has been dominant on the mound. Shoemaker's problem the last 2 or 3 years has not been ability, it's been injury. And so if Shoemaker is healthy, that's a solid number 2. And they start the year with Tampa. Look, I know 2 games do not a season make, but in a 60-game schedule, every game is important. What if Toronto goes in and shuts down the Rays and builds some confidence in those young players and they roll? And Lourdes Gurriel is a most valuable player in the making. We all know that in fantasy, and we're looking to see him on the field this Friday. Now, an injury note, Rich Hill, added by the Twins in the offseason, free agent from L.A., he has been named the starter for Game 2 of the season in the 3-game set against the White Sox. Now, that's not going to be an easy picking game for Rich Hill. Rich Hill's a great strikeout pitcher, probably the best curveball in Major League Baseball, really. When healthy, Rich Hill puts up incredible numbers, but he's being cast into Game 2, and that's because Jake Odorizzi is having some back problems, some back stiffness. We'll see how he fares against that heavy right-handed Tim Anderson, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, Abreu. The catcher's a switch hitter. And he's going to face some really tough right-handed bats on that White Sox lineup on the weekend. But Rich Hill gets that start. He's the second starter. for a very potent Twins team. Ryan O'Hearn has been cleared for baseball activities. We talked about it earlier. Lenny spent a lot of time on it at the very early part of his show today. Marcus Stroman placed on the IL, where that leaves the Mets with a pitching rotation. Michael Wacha, now probably a starter on a regular basis. Wacha has produced in the past, but not in the recent past. Don't know how long Marcus Stroman will be on the IL. It's a calf muscle tear. I tore my calf muscle playing basketball probably about 10 years ago. It is painful, let me tell you. And I know he'll get the best treatment in the world, but he's at least 2 weeks out, if not more. Calf muscles, they just have to heal. And the less you're on them, the better it heals. Brett Phillips and Bubba Starling, Lenny touched on this, making the roster. Robert Gesellman for the Mets, he's also headed to the injury list. Aroldis Chapman still testing positive for coronavirus, which means Luis Cessa becomes even more valuable in that Yankee pen. There are some other key pieces that the Yankees have dealt with minor league players. I even brought their baseball cards in. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to show it to you. Here's a guy who's going to now play a real big part with the Yankees. Michael King. Michael King could be in the rotation. If not, he's already been named to the 30-man. He's going to be in that bullpen. He's not a player that you've heard a lot about, but I'll give you a little bit about him. 2018 New York Yankee pitcher of the year in the minor league system. Injured last year, out all year, back this year. He's looked really good in spring training. The Yankees have now put him on the 30-man active team. Anticipated, if the game goes tonight, the way the pitching rotation will work, he may start over the weekend against Washington. Game 3. That's a possibility. We'll see. Tampa Bay Rays manager Kevin Cash has said that the team could use either Brandon Lau, Ji-Man Choi, or Yoshitomo Tsugo. Got it. In the leadoff spot against right-handed pitchers this year, but Cash said he really likes the consistency and the quality at bats the team gets from Choi. And so G-Man looks like the favorite to bat leadoff in the majority of games on the strong side of the platoon. Not your typical leadoff hitter, Ji-Man Choi, right? Former Yankee great, Ji-Man Choi. Yeah, he was with the Yankees for a little while. But he can provide decent power from the leadoff spot, and he's going to play the majority of the games. He hit .261 with a .343 OBP, a .459 slug, 19 homers, and 63 RBIs in just over 400 at-bats last season. So there you go. Ji-Man Choi could be a leadoff hitter, and I like players on my fantasy teams who bat at the top of the order. And if G-Man's going to play at the top, let's face it, do you agree with me? First base in fantasy baseball in 2020 is not the thickest position out there. And I don't know how many teams have Ji-Man Choi or how many leagues he's still available. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. But certainly he is an option, and particularly if he, on the strong side of a platoon, is batting at the top of the order. So give G-Man a chance. Let's see what happens. I want to deep dive for a minute and talk about a few players. I told you this is an information-packed show. I hope you got your notepads out. And if you don't play fantasy baseball, it's the best way to learn about the sport. And this year's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to be with you. And I'm going to lead you through it. So just hang on. Join a league. If you want, I tell you what, if you're watching or listening and you've not joined a league and you're thinking, what is fantasy baseball? I'd love to play a fantasy league with Arnie. All right, let me know. We'll set up a league and we'll play. Just for fun. No money. Just set lineups. Let's play. Let's do it. Let's give it a shot. How about we go to Cleveland? I've talked about the Indians and their great pitching. If you've been listening to my back past shows on Lenny Melnick, FantasySports.com, you know I've talked about the Indians. I like the Indians. I like the Indians and the White Sox. I got them 1 and 2 in the Central. I got the Twins third. I know that's not the popular pick, but I'm done being popular. I'm going to do what I think is going to happen. And the Twins are easy to pick because they won 100 games last year, but that was then, and as the monkeys say, this is now. Jordan Luplow for Cleveland. Owned in about 1% of fantasy leagues. I want you to take advantage of a platoon bat right off the get-go. That's Jordan Luplow. Little rhyme there for you. A platoon bat right off the get-go, Jordan Luplow. Not only does Cleveland face a weak Kansas City pitching staff to start the season, but the Royals are also projected to throw 2 left-handed starters, Danny Duffy and Mike Montgomery, in the first 2 games of that series. That is a great opportunity to Luplow, a right-handed bat, because he should be in the lineup for both of those matchups. Likely replacing left-handed hitting Tyler Naquin in right field. Luplow, he was a lefty masher. That's right, a lefty masher in 2019. He had a whopping .320 average, .439 on base percentage, and a .742 slug percentage against left-handers last year. That was good enough for a .198 win above replacement. Good enough for third highest mark in the league, trailing only J.D. Martinez and Alex Bregman. Those are 2 pretty good fantasy names, right? If you're in the same conversation, you say, name 3 batters who lead in the category. Okay, J.D., Alex Bregman, and Jordan Luplow. If you're in that discussion, now he's quite the contrast against right-handed pitchers. I'm not saying he should play every game. But if you're playing daily fantasy, or you're in a league where you can pick up a bat to play over the weekend, Luplow is not a bad option for the first 2 games of the year. So sticking with the Kansas City, here you go. Stick with the Kansas City-Cleveland series, which I know is going to garner a whole lot of Nielsen ratings. How about Ryan McBroom? Let's sweep up with him, right? He's a player that most people probably... Who is Ryan McBroom? Arnie, I've never heard of this guy. You're getting ready to. That's why you're watching this show today. He is penciled in to the Royals lineup, the presumptive starter at first base because Ryan O'Hearn is out due to COVID. McBroom is 28 years old. He's going to get his first real look at the majors. Let's talk about what he did. He's from the Yankees. That's how I know him. 2019 trade. Over the past 2 years in the minor leagues, he's hit .315 with 26 homers. That was not last year. That was last year. .315 with 26 homers in 117 AAA games last year. He earned a recall in a late season to the Royals where he hit .293. He's going to get the opportunity, and you know my theory. Fantasy is based on opportunity. And Ryan McBroom, who you didn't probably know much about until now, you're welcome, is going to get that opportunity in Kansas City. Another player with opportunity, another Yankee great, Cameron Maybin. All these guys have Yankee connections. I wonder where that's from. Maybin is still available in a lot of leagues. I know he's a veteran. He's coming off a resurgent year. I like to use those words. A resurgent .285 average, making it the best batting average of his career. He made a change in his swing. He went from being a knock it on the ground and run it out to a more line drive with lift kind of hitter. Now, do you bank on him hitting .285 all year? Probably not. Do you bank on him, though, getting an opportunity with Detroit's lineup early in the year? Most definitely. So, Maybin makes good contact. He can steal you some bases, and he's got a little pop in that bat. I remember his first home run ever in the major leagues against the New York Yankees on a Saturday game of the week. Now he's getting the opportunity regularly in Detroit. Another player who's going to get a lot more opportunity than not. And he's been injured, and I love this guy, and it's Jake Lamb. First base, third base player with Arizona. Seems like forever ago,